It sounds like a lot of people in the room actually do know about Steemit, but I wanted to jump in by getting an overview from you, Ned, because I think it's underappreciated how impactful what you're doing is. And so if you could just sort of give us an overview of like, what is Steemit, like how big is this thing that you've built?
Steem has become pretty big. Is this mic working? Yes. It's actually the largest, most used blockchain in the world today. I think that's an underappreciated fact. But Steem has topped out at over 2 million transactions per day, which is more than double the average transaction volume of the next busiest blockchain, which is Aetherium. And Steem continues to sustain at more than 1.6 million transactions per day, with plenty of room to grow. It's not running into scaling bottlenecks like Aetherium sort of hit that that rough patch where CryptoKitties got super popular and then things started slowing down. Steem continues to chug along without issues. And there's more applications building on the Steem blockchain every single day. There's dozens of real projects on this blockchain that are building new styles of social media interfaces that compete with YouTube and other well-known platforms. There's another called DSound, which is a SoundCloud competitor. And there's some new types of businesses too. Actually, one of my colleagues up here, Diego, runs a platform called utopian.io, which leverages the open source nature of all these projects and the financial incentive of the Steem token, which has the unique property of being distributed by voting. And he's leveraging those components to create something new. And maybe, Diego, that's an opportunity to jump in and talk about how Utopian uses.
And how you use Steem.
Yeah, of course. So Steem is quite a revolutionary concept that changed my perception of what blockchain is and what you can do with it. So when I first came up into Steemit and learned about Steem, I was quite amazed because you can actually generate profits and share profits with other people of the community automatically and continuously. So I always wanted to incentivize contributions to open source projects, and Steem seems like the best way to do that. So in utopian.io, what we are doing is we allow open source contributors to report their work and get rewarded for that. So you can just post your work on utopian.io. Your work report will be posted in the Steem blockchain, and thanks to the wisdom of the crowd, thanks to the reward system that Steem is providing, you will get rewarded for what you're doing for open source projects.
That's awesome. And so there's lots of these sort of empowering types of applications that are built on top of what you've got. Why do you think that it's underappreciated at this point? Why is it that people are talking about Ethereum as opposed to actually building real applications with real developers today using Steemit?
Well, I think there is a lot of chatter about what we're doing, especially in our ecosystem. There's lots of just busy bees, lots of developers working on new projects here. But they're also kind of nose to the grindstone, actually working on things rather than going out and just typing on what can happen in their project. There's also a difference between a project focusing on hype and a project focusing on getting things done. If you're going to focus on hype, you're going to generate a lot of just a lot of conversational interest, and there's a lot of mystery about what could happen that gets talked about. When you actually start entering the realm of building something real, people start judging the project on its merits and what's actually happening. And maybe that's a little more boring to them in conversation. But the reality is we have looked at Steem as an experiment. Since the beginning, we have learned so much as people have used this technology. It's got a unique reward system we refer to as proof of brain, which is like mining, but where new tokens are distributed to bloggers rather than people generating hash power. And we've taken the successful adoption of these innovations, and we've then moved to innovate further. And so we say we've created some successful mechanism with Steem. And now we need to scale the concept. There's only so many websites building on the platform today, including Steemit, including Utopian, including DTube. But in the future, there can be hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of websites and applications that integrate tokens, where the tokens facilitate fundraising, like we're seeing through ICOs, but also see new revenue models that are token-based for these applications, like Steem has, like Utopian has. And then you have these proof-of-brain mechanisms that are, causing more and more people to show up to the platform to contribute at a very low barrier to entry and into this open source protocol. So we want to scale that concept. So we've gone back to the drawing board to work on 2 products that I'm very excited about. The first is called Smart Media Tokens, which will be Steem's very own token issuance platform that allows anyone to issue tokens that function like Steem, then to integrate them in their own applications. So that, I believe, will be one of the catalysts for tokenizing the internet. And when we look across things in 5 years, they're going to be everywhere.
That's huge. I mean, so what are some examples? I mean, imagine, after this thing is released, imagine sort of mainstream companies using it. Any sort of use cases that you dream about, or maybe something you can share that you might already be working on a little bit. But what's like the pie in the sky? Like how do you imagine this thing rolling out?
Well, yeah, as far as other third parties using it, like big corporations, everyone everywhere is generating conversation, and it turns out, conversation and content of all sorts can be tokenized. So I expect anywhere you see a forum, there will be a token. Because you look around today, what you're seeing are all these forums, and you're probably seeing some concept of points, right? All we're really doing is taking that concept of points, like Reddit has Reddit Karma, and we're saying now these points can have real-time market value. As soon as they're released into the wild, they start trading on markets, whether they're decentralized markets like Steem will have, or centralized markets like we see on Poloniex and Bittrex. So I think they'll get adopted across all sorts of places. Another product that we're working on to help facilitate their adoption is called Communities. It's our version of sort of how Reddit has subreddits. Steemit will have its version of that, and there will eventually be tokens integrated into those. I've got with me my CTO, Harry Schmidt, and he's helping us design some of that and a lot of the modular functionality of Steemit that'll also empower other entrepreneurs. Basically, I'm starting to see Steem as the blockchain of opportunity. We really want to create the most low barrier to entry possibilities for everyone out there to become an entrepreneur, to leverage tokens, to leverage blockchain-based infrastructure for its financial capabilities to help bootstrap their businesses, and for its transparency to help facilitate auditability and transparency in their community.
So Harry, you want to sort of give us an overview of what you've been building, what you've been working on?
So to talk a little bit about communities, right? One of the things that one of the greatest success stories or kind of patterns of success we've seen on kind of on the Steemit application has been individual contributors, writing great content, building followings on the platform, and kind of creating for themselves an audience, right, that comes with them. They that user's content surfaces in their feeds more often, and so the relationship's already established, where you say, I like the cut of, I like what this person is writing, I like what they're sharing, and so I want to see more of it more often. So the content consumer gains something, which is they see more of the content that they want. The content creator, right, gains something, which is that they have this this audience that's always coming back to their content and upvoting it, giving them a greater fraction of the rewards pool. The kind of what we're working toward with the world of communities is to establish durable audiences around shared interests, where rather than perhaps a single contributor being responsible for kind of supplying all the content that a given follower wants to see, that there's an opportunity for it's just a shared environment where with the addition of moderation and the ability to kind of curate a little bit more what users are seeing in a given feed, to build a durable audience around a shared interest, and provide a user experience that really benefits that. And the benefit of that, obviously, in the case of our platform, is monetary, right? The stronger a community grows, the more readers it attracts, the greater the potential fraction of the rewards pool that any given author who contributes to that community can accumulate, right? It's a ready-made audience on the Steam platform. So a new opportunity for building out a kind of like I say, a more durable audience, a more durable a share of the rewards pool.
So how can people engage with Steemit? How can they begin now? I mean, maybe there's some people in the audience, there probably is, that are at Token Fest. How easy is it to get started working on your platform?
As a developer or as a user?
Let's go both.
Yeah, well, you got to sign up, you got to get an account, you got to experience it. Steem has some very unique properties as a cryptocurrency and a blockchain. It's facilitating zero-free transactions. It's the first blockchain ever to institute bandwidth rate limiting based on stake, rather than have explicit transaction fees. So when you send cryptocurrency to someone, it won't cost you a cent. It won't cost you a Satoshi. And I think that's really neat to experience. It's also a very fast blockchain using delegated proof of stake rather than proof of work. And that facilitates very fast transaction speed. So it's 3 seconds for a full confirmation, about 1.5 seconds per transaction on average. So pretty much, at the blink of an eye, you see your transaction go through to wherever you've sent it. So you got to get an account, you got to get some Steem, you got to experience that. And then as a developer, everything here is open source. And it's not just what Steemit is building in Steemit's repository. There's the utopian.io repository on GitHub. There's the DTube repository. There's modular tools like Steem Connect that any entrepreneur can use to bring into their application to facilitate transaction signing. There are some very complex aspects of cryptocurrency and blockchain-based applications that developers they're not going to want to learn how to build these things from scratch because it's a steep learning curve. So one of our objectives in building Steemit is to, going forward, build things more modularly so that as a developer wants to get involved, they can leverage these different puzzle pieces. They can kind of plug and play to build their own applications. And Diego actually has some experience with that, using some existing open source software to build utopian.io.
Absolutely. Yeah, as a developer, starting on Steem was really, really easy. As you said, there are so many open source libraries out there you can really use right away. There are JavaScript libraries, Python libraries. It's super easy and super straightforward. For example, when I studied Utopian in just 3 days, because the ecosystem is so open, that the community is so supportive. I studied Utopian by forking busy.org, that is another front end for the Steem blockchain. And I actually got a lot of support from busy.org to kickstart Utopian and to use their repository for that. The great thing about the Steem blockchain is that you have all the tools that you need to get started right away, but also the community around it. This is something that it's really new in the blockchain space because you have the direct contact with all the people, with all the stakeholders on the Steem blockchain. You can get in touch with them. You can gather feedback from them. They're actually supporting you directly. So it's like being in touch with investors. So, and you can gather feedback and fix your stuff right away, do new things as investors want them to be. So it's, it's really amazing. And starting a project can take really less than 3 days.
That's incredible. So I was curious, so if it was you, Ned, I want to know, maybe from each of you, you already have an app on the platform, but if it was you, if you were a developer right now, and you had access to not only what you have currently launched, but what you're getting ready to launch, what would you launch?
As a new project.
Yeah, as a new app to change the world, just to sort of get some ideas about like what can people build, like what are some of the opportunities.
Right. As a developer coming in with no outside knowledge, I think there's still a lot of room to break through, kind of melding some different technologies. What we're seeing today with DTube. DTube is an example of kind of going after the YouTube model in a decentralized manner. They're leveraging Steem as a sort of content management system to help organize their website, and they're leveraging IPFS, the Interplanetary File System, to facilitate the hosting of their videos, and they're leveraging the rewards of the Steem token to sort of fund all this operation and kick back, tokens to the person who's doing the hosting and all that. And I think this represents a very interesting an interesting opportunity in the ecosystem. There's a lot of untapped potential in video and in live streaming and in other aspects of modern day social media that are absolutely pervasive and viral. In 5 years, we will see someone take over the video market, or a large portion of it, by leveraging blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. Maybe it'll be DTube, maybe it'll be someone else. But there's some behemoths out there that we can take market share from, and we can do it on decentralized infrastructure with cryptocurrencies. So if you're looking for a big opportunity, I think you need to think big and think about going after some of the big players out there like YouTube.
So it's almost like any Web 2.0 company that you can imagine, you can do better with Steemit.
You can do better by incentivizing the people who are participating on these platforms. Steem is having explosive growth in Korea. There's several Steemians, Steem community members from Korea here today who flew here to meet us, and so thanks for coming. And I have to say, there's something in the water over there in Korea. Culturally, they're just very open to the idea that the platforms they use should be incentivizing them to use it. And so there's nothing holding them back there culturally, and their growth has outpaced the growth in any of the other countries that are using Steem. I think that's really exciting, and I think we'll just start to see more of that as we see the blockchain fever continue to take over in places like this.
So I have a interesting question. So we were just talking backstage, and I find this absolutely fascinating. It's a startup story about how Steemit was born. So I'll just sort of ask you this question. Tell us about the lawnmower shop.
Oh man, the lawnmower shop. It was actually called the Power Zone. Yeah, it was a great little spot. We actually, I think some people know this, we started in a friend's basement. There were 6 of us at the time, and when we finally had enough money to move out of there, it was because we had found a place that was just cheap enough to move into, and it just happened to be the second story on top of a lawnmower shop in the middle of nowhere, Virginia. And I look back on it fondly. It was a bit of an odd location and an odd place, but it was, some really great people in there, and I got to learn a little bit about lawnmowers, on this journey, which is cool.
Did you ever have client meetings? People confused, like, oh, it's just right above the lawnmower shop, and
Yeah, luckily we were able to stick to Google Hangout for most of the meetings.
Perfect. No, it's like a great story. Decentralized companies, starting in a basement, moving to a lawnmower shop, and then it's the #1 blockchain, in the world. So another question that I had, in terms of that, is, tell us about, Steemit growth. How are you tracking? You have this monster platform. So how's your ecosystem growing? Any stats or numbers you could share there?
One of the ones that I'm happiest about is since around July 2016, the Steem blockchain has paid out more than $22 million equivalents in rewards to content creators, right?
That's amazing. So that's essentially social media, but actually giving rewards and incentives to the people who are producing that social media.
It's to me, it is one of the most important metrics when you think about the Steem blockchain, right? And you think about the power of liberating people from this mutually antagonistic relationship between content creators and platform owners, right? Like what you have with basically every currently existing social media platform. For us, it runs in exactly, the incentives have been realigned. They run in exactly the opposite direction. If you can bring or build or grow an audience on the Steem blockchain, you increase the amount that you get paid for your work, and in so doing, you increase the value of the token for literally everyone else. So I'm looking forward to seeing that number grow and grow. And the best part of it is it's everyone winning.
Have you ever experienced any of these sort of like old, let's call them old at this point, what are they, 10 years old, social networks, any flack from them? Have they reached out? Are they curious? Do you think they're going to adapt? You think they're going to die? How do you see that showdown going down?
Yeah, there's been more interest than ever since we came out with the smart media token concept. It turns out that a lot of these existing social media networks and companies had been watching us. And when they saw this, they really saw an opportunity. We were basically saying, look at what we've done. Now you can do it too. And it turns out they had wanted to, try it. And so we've been engaging in more and more conversations with existing networks that are either in their heyday or had been in their heyday 6 or 7 years ago. That maybe leveraging some sort of advertising revenue model now, and they're really looking for something that can help them be more aligned with their community members. Right? And they see how tokens can help them do that. They see how Steemit, a website, social network company, is very aligned with the users, very aligned with the other entrepreneurs who are building around it on the same blockchain. And they want to share in that. It feels very rich to them, where the model based on advertising can sometimes feel like you're working against your users, I think. So they're looking for new ways to bolster their business, looking for new ways to align with their community. And yeah, overall, the feedback is very positive. So I'm really looking forward to getting smart media tokens out and seeing maybe entrepreneurs like Diego find ways to integrate it creatively into his application, and see other new entrepreneurs use it, and then maybe see some of these these existing social networks find ways to leverage it too.
So in terms of tokenization, right? I mean, you're talking about the tokenization of everything is what Steemit's going to empower. So, we got maybe like a couple of minutes left. What is the impact of that? Sort of what's the why behind, what you're doing, and what does it mean for the future?
My belief is that tokens begin to represent people's interests and their activities. It's sort of identity information. And in the future, as tokens begin to represent the points that you've received across all the applications that you've used and all the transactions that you've done, people can get a very clear profile of what you're about and what you care about. Ultimately, I think this leads to better relationships with other people. If we can find very meritocratic ways to distribute these cryptocurrency tokens, and we're working on that in smart media tokens, we'll start to see value rewarded to people in ways that are highly proportionate and commensurate with the value that a person is bringing to a community. I just see tokens becoming pervasive, and all these social media apps that we see today, eventually they're going to be wallets too. Everything's going to kind of be a wallet, I think. But it's hard to say exactly. I'm curious what Harry thinks.
What do you think, Harry?
For me, it's like what really stands out here and what wins, right, is that this fundamentally changes the way that the content web works, right? Or not just the content web, but just the idea of human creative activity. Right now, for the first time possibly, we have the ability to realign and more closely have the rewards that people receive for their creative activity much more closely track the human value that's been created, right? The interest that other people have shown in their work actually corresponds to the monetary the token-based reward that they receive,
so
right?
It's like a marketplace of creative expression.
Yeah, I mean, it's the closest thing to, I know it's corny, it sounds corny to say it, but it's the closest thing to a literal manifestation of John Stuart Mill's marketplace of ideas that we've seen yet. And that's one of the things that I just find really exciting about it.
Amazing. Any final thoughts, Diego?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward for the SMTs and for the community futures. I mean, for me, smart media tokens will be Steam on steroids, so I will be able to change its economics and to decide how to distribute the rewards throughout my community, but also for my brand identity. I mean, I can really create my token using the power of the Steam blockchain, but also giving it my name, so it's going to be the Utopian token. I'll be able to create more tokens if I want. So if I want to use a Utopian token for rewarding contributions, I can use another token for rewarding my moderators. So, I mean, there are endless possibilities. Also, the community functionalities will be, I'm really looking forward to them because I can, my community is going to be focused on specific topics. One of the main issues that I had with Utopian is that no one was understanding what Utopian was about because we were talking about contributions to open source projects. So it's not just about a social media post where you talk about yourself or what you did in your day. So being able to focus the community to specific contents and to target an audience that is specific to the open source movement, for me, it's going to be a great improvement.
Absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for joining us here on stage. It's an amazing ecosystem that Steemit is building. And we have exciting news as well. There's getting ready to be a Steemit cocktail reception that's actually happening in the expo area. And so please give us a warm round of applause for all the great people from Steemit. Thank you very much.